going straight to the next topic. And we're going from Romania directly for space. So I am particularly excited about our next speaker, who has an amazing track record for pushing the boundaries and continuous innovation in the area of space travel and exploration. So Catherine Lueders is an associate administrator for space operation mission directorate at NASA. And prior to her current role, she managed the agency's commercial crew program, directing NASA's efforts to send astronauts to space and private spacecraft, having worked among many others with SpaceX and a lot of the key innovation companies driving space exploration. And that culminated in the successful launch of the Demo 2 mission. And in her talk, she will share how space is the playground for innovation. So please all give a warm welcome to Catherine Lueders.
So, can you see if, so, you know, the key thing about, and we always kind of want to make sure that we are creating the best environment for us to be able to really spur innovation and the thought. And so this concept of a playground is a place where if you have the right kind of equipment there, you're pushing your boundaries, you're creating a space where you can explore and play and grow and to be able to learn as you're having a lot of fun along the way. And so at NASA, what we try to do is create these missions where we're able to learn and push the boundaries and continue to kind of build our technical muscles along the way to be able to push the boundaries of human learning as we're working through and honestly having a lot of fun along the way. Next slide. So when you look at the modern era of NASA space exploration, you can see that we've got a lot of different playgrounds out there. It used to be when everybody looks back to 50, 60 years ago and you look at Apollo, and there was like from a NASA perspective, we're kind of this one mission agency. If you look at how we are now, we've got lots of playgrounds for us to be working on. Obviously, the International Space Station is a really important one that we're trying to create a place where as many people, both commercial, international, can be using that platform to be able to expand their technology, have us learn even more through all the international experiments we have. We are working to also create a commercial LEO destination after the space station. At some point, the space station will retire. And so in the 2030s, we're also looking at having a commercial LEO destination that will continue to expand on that capability. Guess what? We're also wanting to go play around and on the moon. You know, they're great places. We've got our gateway system that will be an orbiting platform around the moon. And we're working on our lunar surface capabilities where we'll be really expanding and learning how to operate, do research, and stay for extended periods of time on the lunar surface. All of this to get to what we're currently viewing as our ultimate playground, which is Mars. You know, for us to be able to figure out how to keep people safe all the way on a transit to Mars, be able to do the research and technology development and the learning on Mars, and then be able to come back, we're really going to have to be able to build our muscles and from a technology and innovate new and capabilities for us to be able to do that. All of this requires us continuing to have these big problems out there that we have to solve in these areas to be able to beef up our capabilities to move out and build on our technological and create new ways for us to do and solve the hard problems that we'll need to solve to be able to really effectively work in these new areas. Next slide. So guess what? This takes lots of people. You know, we all we all know that for us to, when you need lots of different kinds of people to be able to solve the problems that we have out there. And I say all the time, exploration is a team sport, because it doesn't just take engineers, it takes artists, it takes business people, it takes doctors, it takes nurses, it takes teachers, it takes all different economists, it takes all different kinds of people to be able to do the work that we're doing. So when people come and work for NASA and they ask me a lot, hey, what's the fields I should be studying? Well, yes, science and technology is important, but guess what? We need lawyers. We need, really great human resource people. And guess what? Some of those people that are helping us solve those problems are people that don't necessarily come from a technical field. I find out that it's really the non-technical folks sometimes that say, why are you doing it that way? That kind of force you to think about your problem differently. Next slide. So we have really been building over the last, 30 years on us working together and building really, really strong partnerships. In fact, working with partners that we wouldn't normally have been working with. 40, 50 years ago, when we were in the Cold War, if people said you're going to be going and doing a international space station with the Russians, people would have thought that we were crazy. But what we find out is it's through these international relationships, through working with our European partners, with our Asian partners, with the Russians, it's that we've then kind of gotten the best of both worlds, all the worlds, and with the ideas that are out there. And it also provides us a way to create relationships with each other through good times and bad times, and keeps that flow of technical interchange. And when we're all here solving the hard problems that we are in front of us as you do these international missions, guess what? All of our countries are able to move forward and learn from that playground that we created. We also, it's been important for us not only to have it be government missions, but also for us to be able to tap in and infuse more capability in our commercial and private sector, because there's this huge capability out there that we want to be able to tap into to help solve our problems. And that industrial base that's there and the academic base that's there. I loved the presentation right before, because they were talking about getting access to high school students, to the colleges, to other parts of academia to be able to get the best ideas to solve our problems. Next slide. So I'm going to just talk a little bit more about one of the funnest playgrounds we have in NASA. When you go look at the amount of people that have been able to connect with us doing work on this international platform is huge. I mean, just think about it. Just think about the multiple countries, the number of contractor facilities, obviously the expansive use of, from a U.S. perspective, getting people to be involved in it. But when you're talking about over 100 countries getting to do science and research on an international platform, and growing. We have over 4,000 experiments now that we've been doing on the International Space Station. We have over 33 commercial science and technology platforms that actually manage science and research and allow people to buy time on the International Space Station, along with us really driving our industrial base for commercial cargo transportation and crew transportation services to the International Space Station. We are trying to use every single ounce, every single square inch of this playground to make sure that we're getting a benefit for as many people on this earth as we can with what in the missions we're doing. And we right now are working towards extending this capability for another 10 years. And so we would like to hear from everybody about how to even use it even more and continue to be able to expand on the capabilities that are there. Next slide. So here's just a sample of the international collaboration and important research on the National Space Station. I mean, first, let me just look at the faces of the crews that are on the International Space Station. We right now are on the first of 3 consecutive increments where we'll have European crew members on board. Thomas Pesquet is on board right now, and so he's the first, and there'll be 2 other increments following. But we also have our second round of with Aki on board. We have our second Japanese consecutive Japanese crew member on there too. So when you look at the total crews, we got Russian crew members, we've got Japanese crew members on board, we got a French crew member up there right now, and are continuing to have this international face of our crews on board the International Space Station. But what that also provides is we've got multiple payloads, capabilities, all types of international research that's then done on the International Space Station. So just a ton of different capabilities that are there. Next slide. And we're hoping to keep that same model going forward. I already talked a little bit about the gateway system, and right now the gateway system is an international collaboration. We have European components of the gateway. The ESA folks are providing us our international habitat, our IHAB, and our SPRI, which provides power and comm and fueling capability for our gateway system. The Japanese are providing HTVXs, which are cargo capabilities to our gateway system. And Canadians are providing a robotic arm for the gateway system. And we're continuing to look at other international partners that we're going to be collaborating with. On the surface of the moon, we're beginning to work our bilateral agreements with multiple countries on the moon and have established our regimen. We call it the Artemis Accords for how we can work and do our research and be on the moon together in peaceful ways. And so, we are setting up our next round of lunar exploration to be doing it with a team, and both a international team, and we're hoping to have commercial partners in that part of the team too. And then we are already, looking at Mars, and we talk a lot within NASA about the fact that we do bots first and boots next. And so right now, obviously Perseverance, our science rover, is out there continuing to help us learn about the environment on the moon, our environment on the Mars, and be able to give us the data that we need to have to understand what's there so that we can be building the systems and developing the capabilities that have to keep people safe on Mars. We have many more Mars surveyors that are internationally and we're all working together to share the data so that one day we can be doing a Mars collaboration going forward. It won't be today, it may not be in 10 years, but just us having that really, really tough playground that we would hope that we all internationally be working together in, that would be a problem that we all have to be innovating to be able to work in. Next slide. And I already mentioned a few things for our international collaboration for Artemis mission. So we know that we are doing this from an international perspective. Already we're having our first Artemis 1, which is our uncrewed demonstration mission of our crewed transportation system. And the service module that's on our Orion spacecraft is a European capability. So from the very first flight of our Artemis missions, our first uncrewed demonstration mission to check out our crew transportation capability, it is an international collaboration. Next slide. And what's really, really important is that we continue to look at our current capabilities, look at what we need to do in the future, and make sure that we're continuing to innovate to get there. If we know how to do it today, we're not going to innovate. That missions, that playground that we're developing isn't hard enough for us to learn in. And so we are constantly looking at having these big goals that are out there, these hard missions that are out there that force us to have a gap. Because as we're closing that gap, we know we will be learning and pushing, like we've talked about, the boundary of human knowledge out for us to be able to close that gap and accomplish that mission. Next slide. And we have this list. We have all these things that we need to do to be able to learn and continue to do that. We don't have all the life support systems solved right now. So we will have to continue to get that next order of reliability to be able to do a Mars mission. So one example of a gap is we've been doing technology development on the International Space Station now. So we actually have halved our need for water through full up reclamation and with our development work that we've been doing on station. But we know we've got to get to an order of magnitude better for us to be able to go to Mars. And so we're continuing to refine our systems and get the higher reliability that will be able to drive our systems and create the capabilities that will get us to Mars. Next slide. So we're continuing to invest. We want to see a growing LEO economy. We would like to see us be able to show that we can, grow and have an economic base in LEO. And we want to continue to use this capability to be able to push and develop the technology. And we feel like starting to build these additional areas and mission platforms and playgrounds for us that we're going to really push that technology. So the moon is next. But as we're developing the moon, we're looking at what are the problems we need to solve for us to be able to really go to Mars. So we're going to the moon, but we're always viewing that big red planet behind it and working down the technologies that we need to mature for us to know that we can send people safely to Mars. Next slide. So there's tons of different ways. I've just put, the websites. I want you guys to have these. Here's all the different areas where we would like to continue collaboration, sharing. If you notice, it goes across the gamut across agency, including, to me, how do we engage with our students? And so if you notice, the last three URLs that are there are places where we want to be able to engage the future folks who will be the people that will be wearing the boots that will be going to Mars. Next slide. This is a really important slide to me because when not only we use it at all levels, we use it within NASA to say across NASA, we explore as one, within our science mission directorate, within our space tech mission directorate, within our new exploration systems development mission directorate and the space ops mission directorate. We're exploring as one. But we're all here together. I tell people a lot that we're all here together as crew members on our Earth spaceship. And so as a team, it's important for us to explore as one and to continue to gain the benefits of human knowledge for us here on Earth. So thank you very much for having me, and I'm looking forward to a couple questions.
Thank you so much, Kathy. This was really, really cool. I'm glad that you're opening up space for all of us. When I was younger, I had the dream one day to get married in space. Unfortunately, space travel wasn't quite ready at the age I intended. So I still did have to get married on Earth, unfortunately. But I still hope maybe for the 10th or 15th wedding anniversary, I can celebrate that in space if you make that possible. So we have, given time, I have 2 questions from the audience. So the first one is from Christy Ureke, who asked, how is NASA adapting to the remote work culture as well as the new talent economy?
Yeah, I will tell you that this has been really good for us. Obviously the COVID environment is really tough, but I do think we were working towards a period of time where across our workforce, people wanted the flexibility to be able to both be in the office and be able to be at home. And so I had started to see probably 3 or 4 years before COVID happened that there was this challenge of how to mix that. COVID, even though it's been pretty horrific, it's been a catalyst, right? Because it kind of forced us then it's another place where that big problem forced all the technologies and the capabilities to get up to speed to be able to enable us to work from home. When I was doing conferences a year and a half ago, they were not nearly as smooth as this was. Our tools to be able to work together remotely have just improved dramatically over this last year and a half. And so I think, we too are getting better at having our tools. This new problem has really forced us. It's kind of a great example of having this new problem and then forcing us to really get our new tools and our new ways of working together up to snuff to be able to work together on it. And so in the future, our workforce will have options, and we have options now. And so it is a little bit of a byproduct and a benefit of this horrific time right now where we're really having a challenging time with COVID. But there is a little bit of a silver lining here, because this problem has forced us to be more flexible from a workforce perspective. But I have noticed that's another place where industry and technology has really, upped their game by creating these better tools for us to be able to work together effectively.
I love the optimism, and I wholeheartedly share that. So maybe one last question from the audience, given time. So Alexandru Wanchia, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, whoever asked the question, asked, what's the status with SLS, and why is NASA investing time into a project as new technologies come online, such as what SpaceX is building?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been kind of fun to see this little bit of a debate between what people view as the more traditional and the newer folks coming in. I'll tell you, when you have to go build a big rocket, like the biggest rocket that's ever been there, you're breaking through and having to learn a lot of new technologies that honestly are a benefit to the other parts of our industry. So when we were building the SLS core stage, we actually had to develop all new weld techniques that actually have helped our commercial partners. Blue Origin's new Glen tanks couldn't have been built without the tech transfer that we were able to give them from the learning we did out of our weld. So I actually don't think I actually think it's another case of we're kind of driving and building this big rocket and learning how to do it and how to work together for it. But it's actually helping our commercial partners too, as we are starting to, kind of beat down some of the lessons learned, and we can share it with our industry partners. So I kind of encourage all my friends in the industry that this is about a partnership. It's another place where we have a partnership, and it's kind of good for us to have multiple rockets, because when you have multiple rockets, you have that redundancy, we have that capability, and we have lots of ways maybe we can be going to the moon in the future.
I love that, and I wholeheartedly agree that many more flowers blossoming have much higher chances of having success. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for joining us earlier today from Washington, and good success on getting us all to the moon and making you and all of our dream happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.